What is up, guys? Today we're inside of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and today we are going to be checking out the Renaissance faction and determining which of their units is the best unit inside of the faction. So, we have 7 units to check out, so we're just going to hop right into it. Our first unit that we have to check out is the Painter. So, the Painter has a paintbrush and a paint palette, so we're going to see how well it does against clubbers. It's pretty even. The Painters have a little bit of an advantage because they only cost 50, so they have a quantity advantage. But it appears that the clubbers are actually going to win this one. It appears that only a few died, so it appears that this unit, the Painter, is not that good against melee units. However, I do have hope with it during the ranged unit test, because of a special ability that it has, which is the ability to dodge. So we're going to get one more archer. There we go. So it's 21 archers, and as you can see, when they fire, for some reason some of them die. I guess they just didn't feel like dodging, but you might have also noticed that some of them did indeed dodge, so that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, with the Painter dodge, unlike the quick draw dodge, they have to jump onto the ground. So if there's a second projectile, then they're pretty much dead. But yep, as expected, they destroyed the archers. So they do pretty well against ranged units, it appears. And yeah, that's kind of just it for them. We're going to check out the next unit, which is the Fencer. So we're going to keep the ranged units, so that way we can have a 3,000 versus about 3,000 again. So it's 20 versus like 14, I think it said. I forget what it said. But as you can see, a lot of the fencers already die on the first volley, and the second volley should be able to pick the rest of them off. But there's actually 3 left. I don't think that they're going to kill every single archer, but they did a little bit well. They killed 5 archers, so you gotta give them credit. Also, it was 21 archers, so I was nowhere near close. But now we are going to test out the melee units against fencers, and this is pretty much the exact opposite of the Painter. I think you'll be pretty impressed with how it does against the melee units opposed to the ranged units. So as we can see, it stabs the Squires and then immediately dodges. So Fencer is really good against melee units because of how it constantly dodges, which makes it so that way most of them won't die. So like half of them survive there, which is pretty good seeing how outnumbered they were. Anyways, we're going to go on to the next unit now, which is the Balloon Archer. And the Balloon Archer is a lot like the Archer, except it fires balloon arrows, as you would probably expect. So those arrows hit the units and then it makes them float up. The balloon effect does stack. And then they fall down, and then they take damage from the fall damage. However, you do have to be aware that if a lot of the arrows hit one unit that's really small, then that could be a problem because of how easy it is to make the units clip into the world with the Balloon Archer. So just be careful when you're using this unit, because you could easily make units clip into the world and then you won't be able to complete a level with them. So just be careful with that. But yep, it was 1v2 technically, and as expected, they lost. So I don't know why I deleted them, because I needed to delete the Squires. But luckily there's only 15 of them, so it's fine. Anyways, we're going to check them out against the Ice Archer. Actually no, the Ice Archer isn't really that good for this situation. We're going to just use the normal Archer like usual. The Ice Archer would have to hit them multiple times, which really isn't that fair. So we're just going to have one-shot kills for both of the sides. Technically for the Balloon Archers, it's 2-shot kills, because their arrows aren't that strong. But if they get picked up, then the archers should die. But as we can see, it's not really killing them, which is why I would say that this unit is actually not really good for damage, but instead for delaying units. So if we have a king, and then we have a bunch of Squires behind him, and then we take a different unit will take fencers. So the fencers can definitely easily kill the squires, but definitely not the king. So the balloon archers are going to try to help. I probably should have used a different unit because the king is kind of heavier than other units, but as you can see, it's kind of messing him up and making it a little bit more difficult. Same thing with the squires, it's kind of making it so that way they can't get anywhere close. So they're constantly just falling over and then getting lifted into the sky and then falling down and then going back up. And as you can see, we defeated the king just now, and the squires are pretty much all dead. Yep, there we go. So now we're going to do that same battle, except we're not going to have the balloon archers, and instead we're going to get a few more fencers. And while this will be close, I don't think that the fencers are going to be able to pull this off. So we're going to see. Yep, it appears that they're not doing that well. As you can see, the king kind of just tears through them, and then the squires come, and at this point it's pretty much over, just because of how many units they have left, which just goes to show how much the balloon archer can delay, which is really useful, especially if you have other range units like our next unit, which is the Musketeer. Now, the Musketeer, to some people, it's one of the worst units in the game. To me, it's average. It's kind of good against bosses, but not really. And it has a long reload time. But the bullets actually go through units, it appears. As we can see with that first bullet, with this Musketeer right here, he hit these two squires right here. This one was from the other one, so yeah. Yeah. But as you can see, they only got to fire off one shot because of how long their cooldown on the gun is. We're going to do that same thing again. And I'm going to take control of the Musketeer this time. As you can see, it takes 12 seconds for them to reload the gun and fire a second shot. So it's pretty much, if they don't kill it instantly, or they don't have a lot of protection, then they're not going to do all that well. So we're going to have the archers fare against them. And that's about even. So we're going to fight with them. So as you can see, only one Musketeer is standing, and he's definitely not going to win because of the archer's faster reload time, and because they kind of just stand still. If they moved, then they would have a chance of winning, I would say, but they don't move, unfortunately. So we're going to head on to our next unit, but actually, I think we're going to stay at the Musketeers for one last battle, just that way we can see how good they do against bosses. They might do really good, they might do really bad. We'll do about even money. 4 more Musketeers would probably be better, so that way it's exactly even, but it's fine. So it's 3,000 versus 4,000. If they don't get at least 3/4 of his health down, then I will not be happy with this unit. But yep, they definitely did that. And if they actually get off one more round, they're definitely going to kill him. However, he's kind of advancing very fast, so they're not going to get off that round. But yeah, they were really close to killing him, especially with it not being fair. So now, we're going to move on to our next unit like planned, which is the Halberd. And the Halberd is another unit that a lot of people don't really think is good, and in my opinion, I would have to agree with them. And the reason is because of how long their axe is. So they strike downwards, which we'll see in a minute. So they stand away from their target and then strike downwards. But it's really not that effective, because it's kind of only a one-time thing. If they get up, then they have to just hit them with the stick part of the axe, which does a lot less damage. So in this case, they're kind of keeping them far away. But as we can see there for a second, that Squire was doing pretty good. Over here, again, we have a bunch of the Halberds, and it took 5 swings just to kill that one Squire. So they did manage to kill the melee units, so we're going to see how they do against the ranged units now. So we're just going to make a line of them. So 29 versus like 10. And as you can see, like half of them are already dead. One of them is confused, it appears, because he was trying to walk backwards. Now he's dead. And now there's only one remaining, and he is going to get shredded by the absolute rainstorm area of arrows. So yep, they're not that great against ranged units, but they're decent at melee units. You just want to back them up with something, just in case the melee units get close. Anyways, we're going to go on to our next unit. We'll put 3,000 worth of archers, just like normal. So a few more, there we go. And onto our next unit, which is the Jouster. This is honestly one of the best units in the game, if not the best unit in the game. As you can see, they're really fast. The horses already died, so we're kind of dead. But their spears do a lot of damage, and they attack really fast. So seeing how the horses died right away, which is the most important part of the Jouster, I wouldn't say that they did too bad, but yeah, don't use them against ranged units. They don't do good with ranged units. So now we're going to have 3,000 worth of Squires, and the Jousters, they kind of just run over the Squires. As you can see, they do occasionally get off a few spear attacks, but for the most part, they kind of just run over the Squires, which does actually do damage, which is very interesting. But yeah, they're definitely what you want to use against large crowds of melee units, which is very interesting to know. We're going to have them face off against two kings, so quantity-wise, they have the advantage. Money-wise, it's the same, but the kings will actually one-shot both the horse and the knight on the back. Also, I don't know how this Jouster is alive still. He's just walking on water, but I don't think he's going to recover this time. Or maybe he will. Okay, he's really determined. Okay, so he just baited one of the kings into jumping into the river, and we're going to take control of this king, because this knight is most likely going to die in a sec. But there's actually another horse, but it does not matter. So they did not kill the higher health units, so that's just something to be aware of. They're not that good against high health units, but against crowds, they're really, really good. So we're just going to set up our arrangement of archers again for the last time, probably. Except we're going to do 4,000 this time, because our next unit costs 4,000, which is the Vinci Tank. So, this tank, as you can probably already see, is dead. So, yep, that it's not good against ranged units. We already know that. But what I was going to say is, as you can see, it has a bunch of cannons on the outside area, along with wood going around the top area. There's also actually a unit inside of here, which is Da Vinci. So he's inside here. He just stands around in the madness that happens. So yep, not that great against ranged units. But if we have, let's do chieftains for once. If we have 10 chieftains versus one Da Vinci tank, we'll see that it gets up close and then it starts spinning around, and then it shoots cannonballs through the cannons. That's kind of it. It has a lot of health. You might not have expected that, seeing the last battle where it just got destroyed immediately. But yep, it kind of killed everything. If the units get close, then it also can do a lot of damage there, and delay, because of how the cannons knock the units over. But it is time for the final review. So the painter, it's decent. The fencer, it's pretty good. Balloon archer, pretty good. Musketeer, decent. Halberd, pretty bad. Jouster, overpowered. And Da Vinci Tank is good. So that is going to be it for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, or you want to see some more totally accurate Battle Simulator. Everybody, peace out.